All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while, and because it's so powerful, it's doing a distant space clearing. And this is something you can do to supplement your own space clearing in your house. What we're going to be doing today is a little more in depth than an actual traditional space clearing. And but I first want to start out just by talking a little bit about space clearing for if it's new to some of you. Space clearing is working on the energetic level, whereas, for example, clutter clearing is working on the physical level. Now, anytime we work on the physical level, it does affect the energy. So a lot of times, clearing clutter is a kind of a subordinate way of space clearing. But even when we move things in our house, they leave an energetic blueprint, and so we need to clear the energy around it as well. So, I always tell people there's a whole other world of energy going on in your space, in your home, than you really realize. Because most people can't see energy. We can sense it, really well. Maybe a room doesn't feel good for some reason. Or you get the heebie-jeebies when you go into a certain room, stuff like that. But for the most part, we can't see energy. Although, that being said, there are some very visual clues if you have, if you're sensitive in your sight, particularly after you space clear. The colors will look more vibrant, crisper. So there are actually, you can actually kind of see energy. It'll look kind of before space clearing, or an area that needs to be space clearing will look kind of foggy. You won't really think about it until you see the contrast of the crispness of after the space clearing. But anyway, just real quick, some reasons why we do space clear. In my opinion, the number one reason is what we call predecessor energy. Sounds very daunting and scary, and it kind of is. Predecessor energy is energy left over from previous occupants, and for most of us, we live in spaces that were previously occupied. For anyone who lives in a home that they built, you still have some sort of predecessor energy just from the building process and the construction workers that were using the space up until then, which that can get me on a whole another tangent of the building process and the energy that goes into the building process, but we'll save that for another time. So this predecessor energy lingers in spaces, and this is why certain patterns take place in spaces. You may have witnessed this as a house in your neighborhood, where everyone who moves in ends up getting divorced, or everyone who moves in moves across country, or everyone who moves in has children, something like that. These patterns are set into the house. And obviously we all want to live our own lives and not be influenced by others. And so this is one of the main reasons for space clearing. So anytime you move into a space, definitely needs to be space cleared. If you've lived in your space for a long time and you've never done a space clearing, then it's not too late. And here's the somewhat unfortunate thing is that the energy that gets left over from previous occupants is what we would call or consider negative energy. And the word negative and positive is a little bit illusory, and that nothing's really negative or positive. It's just yin or yang, or heavy, dense, or light. But we associate heavy energy with negative, understandably so. But that's the kind of energy that gets left over because it is, in essence, heavy. It's heavy. That it sinks. It generally gets stuck in corners, or in funky floor plans. It can kind of get trapped. Odd furniture layouts can cause or hinder or lead to more stagnant energy as well. But it's just heavier energy that that gets left over. It's not the happy, light, airy energy that kind of flows through. That being said, I guess you could say that the lack of heavy energy in a space would be a light energy. That's what we're going for. Other reasons you'd want to space clear. So we all have our own issues. We don't have to just blame it on our predecessor. We all have traumas, arguments, misfortunes, that take place in our lives over time, and so periodically clearing our own energy, our own negative energy that might have come into the space. Any illnesses you'll want to clear after that. After breakups, if someone moves out, that definitely clearing that energy. And this applies also to furniture, by the way. Furniture has its own energy field, and it needs to certain surfaces hold energy more than others. Everything has an energy field, but some materials tend to hold things a little bit more. Wood, because it's a little more porous, tends to hold energy more than, say, a glass table. So if a piece of furniture has a history, then particularly a heavy negative history, then it definitely needs to be in on the space clearing as well. This is why a house full of antiques can feel really heavy. I personally have a hard time being in those spaces because of the heavy energy. Let me see if I can think of any other. Anytime if you're feeling lethargic, low energy, that would be a good time for a space clearing. If you're getting ready to start something new, a new diet, new way of life, new lifestyle, you'll want to clear the energy because our own patterns get set in our space. So, this is why when you go on a vacation or you're away from your house for some time and you suddenly have all kinds of new ideas or new desires, or, when you get back home, you're going to start, X, Y, and Z. And then you get home and you just start falling into your same patterns. These patterns, our old patterns, are in our house. Even partly, part of that also is the floor plan. Our floor plan dictates is a pattern within itself, and we can literally fall into that pattern as we wind our way through our house. But the energy, these patterns are definitely in the energy field in our house, and so you want something new, clear out the old. All right. So there's a lot of different modalities for space clearing. The most common is burning sage and wafting around a sage bundle. By the way, in the Mind Body Home Challenge, there'll be a step-by-step or how-to for space clearing. I think it's on the last day. Other methods include bells. I like using bells a lot. Sound breaks up energy and gets things moving. It's a really nice modality if in cases of low energy, because the bells really get the energy moving again. Not the best one if someone's already pretty anxious and high energy. Of course, my personal favorite is my smudge spray that I make and sell. It has all the benefits and actually more so than burning sage. Of course, without the smoke for spaces or people that have sensitivities. It has a rosewater base, so it leaves the space with a high vibration in addition to the clearing components to it. So with any of these modalities, you kind of go around the perimeter of the room. As I mentioned, heavier energy tends to coagulate in corners more so, particularly or areas that don't get light, natural light. Cobwebs is a visual clue of stagnant energy. So areas that tend to get cobwebs means that that's an area of prone to stagnant energy. All right. So that's kind of an overview of space clearing. Now, what I'll be leading you in today is a little different. We're going to be doing a psychic clearing of the space. And so I will mention anytime you do any of these modalities, anytime you use any of these space clearing modalities, you always want to have an intention for it. So the intention may be to clear predecessor energy, to remove any lingering effects from an illness, to clear away the any leftover energy from an argument you had the day before. It could also be just a general maintenance clearing if you do it like periodically. I like to give my house a periodic clearing, definitely after I've actually cleaned the house. I think that's always a good time to just kind of spruce up the energy a bit. So it could be a very general intention. And then when you're done space clearing, you want to invoke an intention back into the space, so it will relate back to your original intention. So if it's to remove energy from the argument, it would be to invoke positive, loving energy into the space. So our minds are very powerful, and so that's why we pair the space clearing with an intention, because so we can use our minds to help us as well. And so we're going to be doing a bit of a distant. This is actually going to be a little bit more of a distant healing of our space. And anytime we heal spaces, we're healing ourselves, because our space is a mirror of ourselves. So we get the direct benefit of our space being healthy. Today we're going to start out this meditation, and this occurred to me recently that in functional space clearing, we always talk about this predecessor energy. We talk about this leftover energy from previous occupants, and then I've thought to myself, well, what about my predecessor energy that I've left in all these spaces? We always are pointing the finger at other people leaving their crap in our space, but what about all the crap that we've left in our spaces in the past? And so this could be anything from my childhood home to the previous space, to any space we've lived in, especially those spaces that were near and dear to our heart, or where something traumatic happened, or definitely in any childhood home because it's such a formative years. So I'm going to be starting the meditation out with that, and just almost like a soul retrieval of reclaiming your energy back from these spaces. And not only is that going to be helpful for the current people who live in that space, but my goodness, you, because you've left your energy in places, and I'm sure you're like me. You would like all your energy that you could possibly have. So that's a big part of what we're going to be doing today. So let's start to move into it, and find a comfortable seat if you have not already. And you can either, if you're a leg crosser, go ahead and cross your legs. If you're not a leg crosser, then have your feet on the floor. And then when we go into meditative state, like to do something very conscious with my hands. I'm not picking what you do with them, but just be conscious that you're doing something conscious with them. So they can be on your knees. They can palms face up or face down. You can interlace the fingers and set them in your lap. If there's any mudra, hand mudra that you are prone to, then feel free to do that. So start to close your eyes and take a few rounds of nice deep breaths. With each exhale, start to kind of come more and more into your body. Anytime we come into our body, we come more into the present moment. The body is always in the present moment. Notice if you're holding any tension in your body, see if you can take your breath into that area so that you can become more and more relaxed. Now, if you like to have a focus for your eyes, your inner gaze, while you have your eyes closed, with your eyes closed, looking up towards your third eye, the area between the two eyebrows, is a great place because it activates the third eye area, which is our visioning center. And we'll be doing mostly all visualizations through this meditation. So taking a few more nice deep breaths, just to settling in. So I want to start by you thinking about one of the previous spaces that you've lived in, just the first one that comes to mind. It could be a childhood home. It could be the place you were just living before now. Any space that first comes to mind. And as you bring that space into mind, seeing what room or area of the house that you find yourself in. It could be the front door, it could be what was your favorite area, or it could be an area that makes no sense to you. See if you can visualize yourself being in that space. And just gazing around. For some of you, it may be a long time since you've been in this space. For others, it may have been very recent. If you have that visualization pretty clear, you can start to walk around the space. As you do, imagining you being a magnet. And as you walk around the space, pieces of energy are being magnetized to you. These pieces of energy are your energy, not other people's energy. And as you walk around the space, any pieces and parts of your energy that are still there, allow your magnetic field to draw back in. Certain rooms might hold more than others. There may be just a few little pieces, or there might be a lot. Keep breathing as you go through this. If it brings up any emotion, just keep breathing through it. as you are finishing up, walking through the house, they'll end up at the front door, just inside the front door, looking in. You can say to yourself or out loud, I now call in all of my energy from this house, from this space. I now call back all of my pieces and parts that are in my highest and best interest. Any energy that is no longer useful for me, I now release and let go to the central sun. You can visualize that energy going, releasing into the earth, maybe even through the floor of the house. And then thanking the space. Thanking the space for serving you, supporting you during the time that you were there, even if times there were difficult. Because homes are just like a relationship. Some are difficult and they are karmic relationships. Relationships are very loving and supportive, and that's the same with some of our houses. They can vary between the two. But in all cases, we say thank you, and then we say goodbye. So if that feels complete to you, we'll move on. If it doesn't, you can stay there and continue your process with that home, and join us down the road. No pun intended. So let's do one more space, former space that you've lived in. The next one that comes to your mind. And really we could do this with every space we've lived in. And if we don't cover all the spaces that feel important to you today, then I encourage you to go back and do this on your own. You can use this meditation over as many times as you need for that purpose as well. So the next space that comes to your mind, let's go there. Notice where you find yourself in the space. Again, if this brings up emotion, then, first of all, that means we're onto something here. That means there's lots of energy still left there to be reclaimed, so this is good. Number two, keep breathing through it and feeling through it, and it will help clear what's needed to be cleared. So noticing what room you're in, looking around, and again, start to walk through the house as if you're a giant magnet, taking back your pieces and parts that are in your highest and best interest to take back. You might notice what rooms attract more energy back than others. It might also be interesting to see where these pieces of energy come back onto you. For example, the back of the heart, your legs, and so forth. And, this is nothing to get mental about, and if it doesn't make any sense, then that's even better. You're walking around the house, you're recollecting your energy. You could also just stand somewhere in the center of the house or even in the front door and with your giant magnet call it all back to you without even having to walk through. So say to yourself or out loud, I now call back all my pieces and parts that are in my highest and best interest from this space. I release and let go of anything that is no longer serving me. Release it to the central sun. Watch it go down the center of the house into the earth to be recycled, transformed, and healed. Make yourself to the front door area. Tell the house thank you for serving you, supporting you, and then say goodbye. So this is, in effect, the ultimate move out. You're finally moved out of these spaces. This is something I encourage you to do with every space when you, even in real life. Moving out can be very hectic and a very hectic time, and so a lot of times it's hard to take time to sit with the house. But it's important to go room by room and say thank you and then recollect all of your energy back. So from here on out now you can start doing that. And again, if there's any spaces that you want to that we didn't cover, that you weren't able to get to today, then I encourage you to redo this meditation and do that. So we're going to continue on now to the present. So let's take a moment to come back into your body in the present moment, back to your breath, back to your seat. Any sensations in the body, taking your breath, relaxing into it. Now we're going to do a space clearing for your current space that you're living in. You might, by the way, you might notice a shift in your own energy field after reclaiming yourself. A little bit more stronger, more confident. So even if you are in your physical space that you're going to clear now, I encourage you to stay seated in the meditation and doing this completely psychically as opposed to doing it in the physical. And then when the meditation is over, you can then space clear using the methods I mentioned if you'd like. So in your mind's eye, imagine yourself at the front door area, just inside the front door. Actually, let me take that back. Let's stand in front of the front door outside looking at the house. And just taking in the house, seeing it in a whole new light, seeing it as a soul, seeing it as a living entity, a living body, acknowledging it. Acknowledging it more as not so much a possession or a physical object, but more of a soul. You might ask it if it has a name, or you may already have a name for your house. The better our relationship with our house, the better our relationship with ourselves and with others is going to be. So for any of you who struggle with your current relationship with your house, it's time to get that back into harmony and balance. For those of you who already love your space, then the love affair can continue. So once you let's step inside the house, and going to begin to fill in the space with light, and it's going to be different for each of you of what that light is. It could be a yellow light, a white light. I'm partial to Pepto-Bismol pink light. And you're going to just start to see this light fill up the space. The light could come from you. It could come from the skies. It could come from the earth. It could come from a mysterious source. Just watch and see the space being filled with light. White light, yellow light, green light, pink light. Watch this light fill in every little corner, nook and cranny of the house, even through drawers. Notice if there's areas of the house where it has a hard time filling in, taking note of that, just observing. If you have upstairs, then seeing the light go upstairs and filling in all those spaces. Same with downstairs, even the attic spaces. Again, noticing if there's areas where the light has a hard time penetrating. That is just information for you. When you are done, when the light is done, you can come back to the front door. If there's anything you want to say to your house, any blessing, any mantra, affirmation, intention that you would like to invoke into the space, now would be a good time. Could relate to health, harmony, prosperity. And we'll end with a thank you to the house, the space for supporting you. And before we completely finish with that space, walk outside in your mind's eye. Once again, seeing the house, seeing the space, and begin enveloping from the exterior, enveloping the house with light again. This time it most likely will be a different light, but one of the choices, white or yellow, could look like a light bulb glowing, a white light, a green light, whatever comes to you. It'll most likely be a different light than you had on the interior. And just seeing that light wrap around the house, enveloping it from the exterior. Seeing your space glowing in all its glory. Seeing it happy, seeing it alive, seeing it vibrant. Smiling at your house, seeing it smile back to you. It might even thank you in return. And when you're done with that, coming back to the present moment, coming back into your body, coming back to your breath. Coming back into your seat that you're sitting in, coming back into this moment of being on the call with me. And just taking your time, keeping your eyes closed for another 30 seconds or so as you transition back into the present moment, back into the 3D reality. And starting to slowly open your eyes, almost like a baby waking up the first time. You might gaze around your room, the house. Notice if you feel shifts within yourself. Notice if you see your space in a different light, literally and figuratively. All right. So if you followed along with the meditation and you were able to experience all that I was guiding you through, my sense is that your house got a really nice space clearing, and so it's feeling really good. So you actually may not need to do a space clearing today, and instead I would maybe wait maybe another week or so when you feel inclined to do so, and then you can do a more specific space clearing with regard to predecessor energy, or if there's any other intentions that you want to address. But like I said, I feel like your space is probably pretty happy right now if you were able to follow along with all that. And hopefully you are feeling really good too after calling in your pieces and parts. So I want to thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. And, home sweet home. All right, thank you so much.